The next movie in the list is You Only Live Twice with Sean Connery. It's a good James Bond movie in general, but the defect is there are a lot of length in it, but it's starting well. We saw Bond with a Japanese girl after having sex, and the girl killed him or supposed to do it, and we will find out quickly that she didn't, because it's James Bond movie and James Bond is the hero. But it was a good introduction, and there are some intense fight scenes, like the scene in a bar with a strong Japanese guy, like he was like a sumo, and Bond hardly got rid of him with an intense fight. And there's a fight as well with the henchman of Blofeld, who is a villain in the movie. The henchman was a 2 meters tall guy with blonde hair. It was like the cliche of the German guy. But it was a bit easy the way he got rid of him. I was a bit disappointed about it. But it's correct. And of course, the villain, played by Donald Pleasance, a very good actor. He was scary in it, but I saw some villains scarier than he was. He was not bad, but I saw worse villains than Blofeld, played by Donald Pleasance. But he was good in it, and I like this actor. I used to like him, and especially I love when he was in Halloween. Not his best movies, of course, more commercial movies, because we saw in other movies very good movies like The Great Escape, but I will not name all of them. From Russia with Love is a good James Bond movie. It was beginning of this franchise, and it's more police movie than action movies we will see later in James Bond. It was beginning, and James Bond was finding his way. The character wasn't built completely, but it's an interesting movie. We see Imperial Sean Connery was young, healthy, sporty. He was at his summit of beauty, elegance, charisma. All the characters in the movies are interesting. They, especially in the part of shadow they brought in the movie, like Kleb, Grant, Kronstein, Blofeld, even the girl. So in general, it's good movie, especially according to the characters, but not an action movie. Print of most of James Bond movies, but it's very good for beginning. And there's an interesting fight scene with Red Grant in the train, and Grant is a very impressive henchman. He was perfect to fight to get James Bond. Kronstein, we don't see him a lot, but he was interesting. He was vicious and arrogant and cold. Blofeld, we don't see him, but he is very scary. It was good we didn't see Blofeld, because he was more scary in the fact we didn't see him, but we could imagine him as terrible. We see as well for the first time Q. Q who was a character I liked, especially the actor who did it for a very long time. He was a great part of James Bond movies, like M, but the actor who played Q, he will do it for decades. The next one in my list is not from the original franchise. It is the movie with Sean Connery for his comeback in 1983. So the name of the movie is Never Say Never Again. I like this one. There was, I know it was a parody of James Bond, but it was a remake of the movie Thunderball, very good movie. And in this one, I like because it is a comeback of Sean Connery, and he was laughing about himself, about his age. He was not in good fit because he was in his 50s, but Sean Connery, even when he was 50, was still a good-looking man, still fit for his age, and there was the sense of humor of Sean we are accustomed to hear. There were stunning James Bond girls in this movie, and especially I like Barbara Carrera. Oh my God, she was as hot as the hell, and she was vicious. She was perfect for the role. It was one of the best bad James Bond girl movies of all the time. The defect in this movie was the villain. He was not very scary. The actor is good. It is Klaus Maria Brandauer, I think is German or Australian or something like that. And he was playing Danton in the movie French Revolution, who was directed in 1989. It's good movie in general. It's a very good James Bond movie. Not the best, there's defects as well. There's no gun barrels, the famous gun barrels. Without that one, there's no really good James Bond movies, but it was okay. Let's carry on with the ranking of James Bond movies. So the next one in my list is License to Kill. Timothy Dalton is not my favorite actor as James Bond because he doesn't have the particular sense of humor, but for a long time I didn't like him, but when I saw Craig, I recognized him. He's enough good James Bond. So this one, it's a different story. It's a completely different story. It's a story of revenge. So it's completely different from the other James Bond with actions, seduction, gadgets. In this one, I don't remember, but I think there's no gadgets. It's more psychological, and I like this one because of the bad guys characters. The casting is incredible. Robert Davi is fantastic, he's terrific as main villain. He's cynical, he's crude, and we could see as well a young Benicio del Toro. I think he was 22 or 23 years old when he was acting in this movie, and he's a fucking son of a bitch. Sometimes he is more powerful than Robert Davi, who is good in his role. So you can imagine, especially when he was smiling and eyes injected with blood. We could see at this time in Benicio del Toro he will become a great actor. And about the James Bond girls, I liked it was Thalisa Soto. She was stunning, hot, with a strong character. Robert Davi, during the casting with Thalisa Soto, there was a scene he was playing James Bond and talking with Thalisa Soto in her role. And after that, he said, I will kill for her. And that was true. During the movie, Robert Davi, who plays drug baron, the main villain, he was ready to kill for her. And Timothy Dalton was okay for the role of James Bond, fully of revenge. There are some scenes very hard. All the characters were good, but the story was a bit different after that. I will put Octopussy after. Octopussy is a very good movie, but there are some odd moments like Roger Moore who was playing Tarzan in the forest, and particularly when he was in clown clothes. It was ridiculous, but except that, all the bad guys were okay. Especially, I liked Louis Jourdan. Louis Jourdan, wow! When you see him in the screen, you can't focus on something else. And he was smart. He was cold and vicious, and it was interesting because in this James Bond he was a chase between a cat, so Louis Jourdan, and a mouse, Roger Moore. It means he wanted to kill him, but he killed it with elegance. It was terrible. Especially I like the scene when Bond discovered he was cheating in a game with dice, and after this scene, straight in the eyes, Louis Jourdan say, "Spend your money quickly, Mr. Bond." I can feel that he wanted to kill him. It was funny. For me, it was the best moment of this James Bond, and the henchman was okay. He was terrible too. He was scary. About the Bond girls, they are all okay. The Octopussy, Maud Adams, good, and Majda as well. She was cold as ice. It was first James Bond I see when I was a child with my parents, so it remember me a good time spending with my parents looking at a video of this James Bond. And of course, Roger Moore with his sense of humor, and he could be a tough guy as well, especially when he killed one of the twins with his knife and say it's for 0009. So he was more serious at the end of his movies as James Bond.